Hello everybody and welcome back to Odin's movie blog. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well, and I just need to calm down a little bit from my reaction. I just dropped a trailer, or rather a trailer reaction for John Wick Chapter 3. If you haven't seen it yet, please do, because whoo man, it is, oh my gosh, seriously, go watch it. It's amazing. Freaking horse. That's all I have to say anyway. So today I wanted to talk about this situation. This is a buddy, a boy, a good old friend of the channel, Mr. Scott Mendelson, who is just an entire Disney shill and just asshat. It's just a certified asshat. Anyway, so he is now complaining because apparently Jason Reitman directing Ghostbusters 3 is all our fault. And he basically tells us about how we're a bunch of toxic white males. At least that's what I've gathered from other people's coverage of this story. So if you have not been following the whole Ghostbusters thing, so basically back in 2016, they decided to release an all-female. The Women are coming back as Ghostbusters. Yes, so they released the Ghostbusters 2016. It was an all-female cast, and it bombed. It did terrible, even though the critics tried to pump it up saying, oh my god, it's so fresh, and oh my god, these females, they're females, and they're being females on screen, and therefore, because they're female, we just have to say female, and it's good. That's pretty much the reaction that film got. Everyone else who has a brain, everyone else who's not bought into identity politics, has said, all right, this movie was unnecessary in the first place, just as Ghostbusters 3 is. Like, let's just be honest here. And on top of that, it's worse because they made this film just so that they could make an all-female version of Ghostbusters, not so that they could tell us a story that was worth telling. You see, if you were going to do this, if you were going to do the Ocean's 8, which is not a great example either because they do essentially the same thing, if you're going to try and tell a story, and the main pitch that you have for that story is, oh, they're all women. Oh, it's the same story, but now it's going to be all women. That's a terrible pitch. That is awful. If you think that a movie is good or that a story is good or worth making just because of the gender of the characters, you're an idiot. You are an actual sexist, and in most situations, you're probably also an actual racist as well, because when you think in terms of race and gender that way, when you limit your mind so much just to race and gender, that's a problem. You know, you're kind of just shutting out the rest of the world and understanding that every person is made up of so many more things than just their race or gender. But Scott Mendelson obviously does not recognize that, doesn't really understand, or, whoa, man, your website's freaking out on me, man. Anyway, so Scotty boy, let's see what he has to say. Jason Reitman, son of Ivan Reitman, will be directing and co-writing yet another Ghostbusters movie, and there's already an announcement teaser. Unlike the Paul Feig-directed reboot from 2016, which ignited a firestorm of online controversy for starring 4 women as Ghostbusters. No, Scott Mendelson, I'm not going to let you do that. I'm not going to let you just pander like that to your audience. No. The reason why it was bad is because the story sucked. The acting sucked, and it had no reason to exist, and the only reason why it came into existence is because they wanted to put all women as Ghostbusters, which is not a good plot, which is not a good enough reason to make a movie, you imbecile. So no, I'm just going to shut that down right there. Whew. This will be set in the same world as the first 2 Ghostbusters movies, essentially acting as a long-threatened Ghostbusters 3. The goal is to shoot the as-of-yet uncasted movie this summer and make it Sony's big summer 2020 offering. Little is known about the film's plot and who among the original cast will return, but an educated guess would presume another legacy sequel which combines new, young heroes with the original cast acting as mentors or elder statesmen. So yeah, Ghostbusters is going the same route as Creed and The Force Awakens and Halloween. To say that I have mixed feelings about this, I don't know what the point he was trying to make there about, as far as, I guess he was trying to say those were the Sony releases, but Star Wars isn't a Sony release, so I still don't really know what you're trying to say there, man. To say that I have mixed feelings about this is an understatement. On the one hand, you're rewarding a white male director whose last 5 movies bombed, and of those, only the 2 starring Charlize Theron and penned by Diablo Cody received positive reviews. The keys to a hugely valuable franchise, mostly because he's the son of the guy who directed those first 2 Ghostbusters movies. And yes, unintentional or not, you're essentially rewarding the specific demographics who reacted in the very worst way to 2016 Ghostbusters reboot with the thing they claim to want instead of the horrors, all-female sci-fi comedy. And yet, we have only ourselves to blame. Studios aren't charities, and they tend to want movies that attract moviegoers and make money. All right. So let's just break down what you're trying to say here and why it's completely wrong. You're assuming here that the only reason why Ivan Reitman got the job is because he is the son of the original director. Now, I don't think that's the only reason why, seeing that if he had no prior experience, if he didn't have directing experience, then he probably wouldn't have been chosen. But on top of that, why not? if you're gonna make this movie, which let me just tell you straight off the bat, I don't think they should make a Ghostbusters 3. I think they should just leave it alone. 1 and 2 are great. You don't need to have a 3. But if you're going to make a 3 anyway, well, then you might as well have a guy who's going to know the heart and soul of this film better than probably anyone else, seeing that he is the son of the man that created that world in the first place. So that's what I have to say first off with you going after the director this way. But then you say you're rewarding the specific demographics who reacted in the very worst way to 2016 Ghostbusters. But here's the thing. It wasn't just men who reacted this way. It wasn't just white men who reacted this way. Men and women of various creeds and colors hated Ghostbusters 2016. They gave it to me for free, and I wish I could give it back when I signed up for Movies Anywhere. The movie sucks. And I'm sorry, but no matter what you critics or what you Hollywood elites, most of you who are white, by the way, which is just interesting and just hilariously, hypocritical on so many different levels, no matter how you try and spin it, Ghostbusters 2016 will still, to this day, and always remain a terrible movie that nobody saw, that's why it didn't make money at the box office, and that nobody wants to own, which is why no one bought it on DVD or Blu-ray. Because, one, it's a movie that only exists to put female Ghostbusters on screen, which is not a good enough motivation to make the movie in the first place. And if you're trying to bank on, oh, well, it's all women, and therefore the whammon will show up, and oh my gosh, the whammon, the whammon, the whammon. If that is your approach, if that is what you're going to try and do, it's never going to work. It's never going to work. That's why Ocean's 8 didn't even come close to the success of the first, Ocean's film. Despite the fact that no one wanted another Ocean's movie, the only selling point of the movie was, oh, this time it's all women. It has to be different, right? Because it's all women. And women have different perspectives, and women are totally different than men. Yes, men and women are different. But if you're going to just put the same plot out there, if you're just going to have the same exact story, and the only thing you're going to change is the gender of the leads, come on. You're better than that. And Scotty Boy, seriously? Seriously? You think that we hated the movie because we don't like women and we don't want an all-female sci-fi comedy? No, that's not it at all. We don't like it because we're tired, one, of Hollywood constantly putting out reboots, sequels, and just based off of previous material garbage that's only being made to fit a political agenda, which leads to that second point of we're so sick and tired of being preached to. We don't go to a movie. We don't want to see a movie that's only existence is to try and show us just how bad we are as men, which is the whole purpose of the reason, the whole purpose of the movie existing in the first place. We don't want a movie, thirdly, that has as its lead characters, as its lead actresses, women who have no chemistry on screen together. Now, you can say all you want about the individual acting capacities and abilities and films of those people. But if you're trying to tell me that they had great chemistry together on screen, you're blind. You obviously have no idea what's going on. Because, I'm sorry, they had some of the worst chemistry among any group cast ever. There was no chemistry between them. Their jokes fell flat. There was no life to them. I didn't buy it. I didn't believe that any of them were friends, that any of them knew each other or cared about each other at all. You had Kate McKinnon, who was just being a weirdo the entire time, and oh my god, she's a new gay hero too, because she doesn't come across as a typical heterosexual woman, and therefore she's a new gay hero, and you hate it because she's a whammon and she's gay. No, we don't. We hate it because her character was weird and stupid and poorly written and poorly developed and acted too. The movie Ghostbusters 2016 sucks. That's why we hate it. It has very little to do with women other than the fact that we're critical of the fact they made it only to cast women. And that's not a good enough reason, Scott. It would be like if I said, I want to take Little Women. And I instead want to make Little Men. And I want to adapt that story. You would rightly criticize it. And you would say, oh my god, this is toxic white masculinity taking over everything. Oh my god, they're taking over a female story. Okay, well, if it works that way, then it has to also work the other. But even though I wouldn't go that route because I don't believe any of this toxicity, stupidity nonsense, at the end of the day, I just want a good movie with a good cast and a good story that's not relying on identity politics just to try and drive it out, saying, oh, you have to see this now because it's all women, and that's the only reason why to see it. No. If that's the only reason why you're going to sell a movie is because of the race or gender of the leads, that is not a good movie. That is not going to put butts in seats, period. And guess what? It didn't, it hasn't, and it never will. So no, Scott, you're wrong. You're wrong. I'm sorry, did I just, oh my god, did I just, set you off with that? I'm sorry. The old school reboot is essentially dead. Most of them didn't really spawn successful franchises. Even Star Trek, Amazing Spider-Man, and Man of Steel were at best short-lived successes. Okay, so now you're trying to say, oh, well, the reason why it's not going to work is because, you know, when they try and reboot old franchises, it doesn't work. No. When you make bad reboots of classic franchises, that does not work. Now, again, I admit, we're tired of reboots. We're tired of old content being remade over and over again. We want new stories. We want new characters. We want performances that are going to match those new characters as well. We want the next Indiana Jones. We want the next Star Wars. We want these new stories, and some of them are being made. Some of them are indeed being told. So you have a point to an extent. But if you're trying to say that all of these movies that you're mentioning are examples of why this isn't going to working, then why is Jurassic World making billions of dollars? As you just admit. Again, you go against your own point here. So even though I might be with you in the fact that I don't think that they should make a Ghostbusters 3, let me just put right out there. Again, instant reaction to the teaser. The teaser was really cool. I'm not going to lie. The teaser was really cool. And as cool as it would be to see these guys on screen together again and to have that old story continued, I don't want it. I don't want it because, especially now at this point, with idiots like Scott writing these articles and all the other liberal Hollywood elites who are going to be trying to take over the narrative, this movie is going to be dead in the water only because they are going to try and destroy it before it even happens. Because they're going to have some narrative about, oh, this film is just a toxic white male. It's giving attention and praise to toxic white. No, the reason why they're making this movie is because they're out of ideas. To be fair, at least they've been planning this movie for decades at this point. And at the end of the day, Jason Reitman might be one of the best persons to have it because he's going to be the closest person to that universe. But I still don't think they should make it. But that's just my thought. Again, you might want it to happen. I know some other people that are excited for it. And you know what? I think if you're excited for it, great. I personally like the first one and the second one. And after Ghostbusters 2016, I'm just, you know what? Just leave it alone. Just leave it alone, because if you try and reboot it now at this point, it's not going to live up to the original quality and content, and that's what's really sad. But guys, what are y'all's thoughts on this? Do you think that Ghostbusters 3 is going to be good? Are you excited for Jason Reitman being involved? Do you think that the story is going to be worth telling? Do you think it's going to be a worthwhile sequel? We don't really have a lot of those coming around. I mean, John Wick 3 is an example of a new concept, an original story in John Wick, turned into its own self-contained trilogy, and it has no plans to go on after, at least John Wick's story. And it built a universe so powerful and so big that, guess what? You can make other movies that exist in that universe that don't have to use those characters. Maybe they were doing that with Ghostbusters. Maybe if they were, instead of trying just to make all-female Ghostbusters, which was essentially what 2016 was. That's all it was. It was the all-female Ghostbusters. There was no actual good content there. The only reason to see it is if you wanted to see it because you wanted to support women. So how about instead you actually make a new story within this universe? Again, if you like this universe and you want to continue to play in this universe, let Jason Reitman tell a story in this universe, because he would know it best. But personally, I don't want to see this. I don't want to see a Ghostbusters 3, but that's just me. Let me know what you think, what you want to see in the comments below. If you like this video, smash that like button, give me a thumbs up, give me a subscribe. It would help me out a lot. Seriously, guys, you are all amazing and beautiful people. And yeah, Scotty boy. Scotty boy, please, dude. Also, can you please, my Valkyrie pointed this out to me, can you please choose another profile picture? Because I just, I'm gonna bring it in for a second, guys. It's just, needless to say, it's problematic. It's not a good look for you, man. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. And as always, God bless.